Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today we're going to talk about America's future in the light of the war in Europe. All right, today specifically, what I want to talk about is I want to talk about perhaps us accepting our roles as Americans as catastrophe captains. Let's get into this. All right, so there's just so much information coming in. But there's things that poke out, right? Like there's these realities. You're like, wait, what did that person say? And just absolute gleaming, shining moments of brilliance, right? And I think I witnessed one recently on the Slate Political Gabfest. David Plotz said there are 4 things that happened in the 21st century. Said that what's happening right now, the war in Europe that Vladimir Putin started, is nothing special. It's just the next thing that's happening in the 21st century. That we've had 4 catastrophes, that this is just the 4th catastrophe to happen in the 21st century, which is only 22 years old, right? And so he put it out, and he's like, this is really not that big a deal, right? Like, he kind of put it in that perspective. He's like, this ain't our first rodeo, right? What are the 4 catastrophes? You could say them in 4 words. 9/11, plague, that happened in March 2022. That happened in March 2020. Trump, that happened in 2016. And Putin, right? Now, I don't need to explain to you 9/11. That catastrophe is very obvious. I don't need to explain to you the plague that started in March 2020. That is very obvious. Why that's a catastrophe. Why was Trump a catastrophe? Well, I think Plotz is right. Like, thinking about him at the level of the war in Europe is 100% correct, right? And here's why. Why can you say Trump was a catastrophe? Here's why. It doesn't matter where you are on the political spectrum. It doesn't matter if you're Republican. It doesn't matter if you're Democrat. It doesn't matter if you're progressive or liberal or conservative. We can all agree, right, that when we elected right now, I didn't vote for him, but we as a nation elected it. Like when Europeans look at us, Europeans who are currently in the middle of a war, when they look at us, right, they have a war in Europe, right? Europeans are at war, right? So basically, Europe is not war-free. They have a war raging there right now, the Europeans, right? Okay. All right. So basically, when Europeans look at us and they're like, you guys elected Trump, we don't get to individually say, I didn't vote for him. I didn't vote for him, by the way. And I never intend to vote for Trump. It's impossible. I can't do it. I'm an evangelical Christian. He's divorced twice. He owned a bunch of casinos, and he wrote a book that said he lies constantly. I can't vote for that guy, right? Like, come on. I'm obligated to Jesus, or to do the right thing, and that ain't the right thing. All right. So basically, why is Trump a catastrophe at the level of 9/11, plague, and the war in Europe, right? Why, right? This is really important. Okay, so I want to get there because I think Plotz is right. Everybody, Americans in mass at the aggregate level, not individually, America at the sovereign nation level said, we are going to sever the presidency from honor. The president no longer needs to be an honorable person, right? There wasn't a question on whether Donald Trump was an honorable person. There wasn't a question, right? Divorced twice, and with very distinct complaints from his first 2 wives, right? And then in addition to that, owned casinos, right? And did not do a great job of building them or paying the people who built them, or like just really, really bad, And then last, wrote a book that says, I lie constantly and you should lie too, right? Like, so it wasn't a question on whether Donald Trump was an honorable person, right? Because we had dishonorable presidents, in the past. I think there's a very strong argument that Bill Clinton was a horribly dishonorable president. But when he came in, he was presenting, right? He had passing privilege as a honorable person. He had put up enough smoke screens to let people even believe he was an honorable person. That's the thing that was different about Trump, is we as a nation said, You no longer need to even pretend to be an honorable person to be president. We are severing honor from the presidency. That's new. That is a catastrophe. It is a catastrophe. And it was a catastrophe. We had our first president who routinely would say, I love you, American. You over there, you American, you don't have the right attributes. You lack this attribute. I don't love you. Just routinely say it, like just flat out, like, and this is another issue. Just bald-faced villainy, right? Like, Trump would lie constantly, didn't even pretend, right? Like, just bald-faced villainy. That's another problem we have now in our current world, just bald-faced villainy, right? So I think Plotz is right. 9/11, Donald Trump, 9/11, Trump, plague, Putin, okay? It's a drumbeat of catastrophe, right? So what does that mean when we realize that the 21st century is a bump, is a drumbeat of catastrophe, right? What it means is we can accept the reality of our lives. We are catastrophe captains, right? That's what we need to see ourselves as. Americans need to see ourselves as catastrophe captains, right? Each of our lives is the ship. We captain it, and we take it through the seas of catastrophe, right? And so right now, this war in Europe, it's possible that we can see this not as some special event, but a Tuesday. Oh, you're a world leader, and you have NWs, and you say you're going to arc them over the sea? Bring it. We're catastrophe captains. We're not going to be frightened by you. We're not going to cower in fear if you try to scare us. We've lived through 3 catastrophes already this century, right? You think you can harm America? We're catastrophe captains, right? We live on chaos. We eat it for breakfast, right? And I have to say, when you think about David Plotz, the way he said it, 9/11, done, processed, right? Trump, done, processed, out, gone. We tried it. We tried the experiment, severing presidency from honor. You know what? It sucked. You're out, buddy. Done. Finished. Right? And then plague. Over. You know how we know it's over? Because, President Biden got together with every leader in the United States of America. They all whipped their masks off and shook hands, saying it's done. Plague defeated. Mission accomplished. Right? So Putin's over there. He's like, oh, I'm going to scare you. I got NWs. I can arc them over the sea. Bring it. We don't care. You can't scare us. We are catastrophe captains. We eat chaos for breakfast. Bring it. You don't scare us. Bring it. Right? And so I'm going to say, what do we do to help in this time? Close the sky. Close the sky. Close the sky. That's what we need to do. That's what I think. What do you think? I definitely would love to hear what you think. And the reason why is I have learned 100 times in my comments and in response videos that sometimes there's more wisdom in what you think than what I think. So I'd love to hear your thoughts. Let me know in the comments below. Please consider liking and subscribing, and have a wonderful millennium, because Putin can't take it from us.